Welcome to ParksCenter for October 9th, 2022. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. Please make sure to subscribe to WDWNT TV and like this video as it helps people to find us. And also, I don't know, it makes us feel good. With us tonight is a crack group of Disney experts, starting with my good friend Shannon. How are you, Shannon?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. Happy belated anniversary, Epcot.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Epcot tonight, and yeah, that's a good flex. And then with us for the first time on this show, Alicia, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. This is my last WWNT show I had to be on, so here we are.
Yeah, this is your bucket list. That's weird.
It is.
And then Coach, what's going on, man?
It is game time. I'm excited. It's been a while since I've been on here, but I'm very happy to be here and see everybody. And let's do it. I'm excited. Let's go.
Let's go. Shannon, they say you're being a little quiet, so don't be shy tonight.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I will speak up for the people in the back.
There you go. So tonight, we were off last week because it was Epcot's 40th. So we're going to talk about some things, obviously, that are we're a little bit behind them. One of them was Hurricane Ian came and visited Walt Disney World. They were down for a couple days, which again, in the past, we would have gone, wow, Disney World's actually closing for something. But then, after COVID, 2 days seems like nothing. Unless, of course, you actually were there for it. I've actually been there for a hurricane, and one of the things that we always love to see is how well Disney is treating their guests during these times, and then how careful they're being. So they did shut down the parks early. They had everybody take shelter. They didn't have anything else weird going on, like, hey, by the way, go to the Halloween party because you already paid for it. We're not going to give you your money back. They offered refunds for the Halloween party and everything. So it was really good. I don't know if anybody else on here has been during a hurricane. Wouldn't recommend it, not putting that out there. But I do think that it's one of those things that is bound to happen when you have a park in Florida. But we were watching from the sidelines, and Shannon, like when you saw the articles and things that we were posting on WDWNT about how they were handling everything, how did you feel about what you were reading?
I think they could have pushed it a little further in terms of the closure, and I'm glad they didn't. What I mean by that is they opted to close the parks early. That day, I think a lot of vloggers were out there documenting what was happening, and there wasn't a whole lot happening really until the middle of the night. So I was surprised to see that Disney didn't try to push the envelope and wait to the last minute to close. So happy about that. Guests seemed like that they were, kept entertained, well fed, and I think they handled it really well.
Yeah. So some of the things that they do during this, and they must have a game plan when this happens, is they bring characters to the hotels, which I think is amazing and wonderful. And then they also put together these meal kits that are I think very fairly priced. So, they do look out for taking care of their people. One of the things I did think was interesting and never occurred to me is that we saw from inside the hotels shelves that were just wiped out of games. And it's like that never even occurred to me at the time, but it's interesting, the things you don't know that you're not going to have. And again, we all went through COVID and lockdown and things that we were like, oh, wow, webcams are hard to come by all of a sudden, and toilet paper and things we didn't think about. So, games, Alicia, that one had to, obviously, if you were stuck in there, you'd be playing games all night, right?
Oh, I would be playing all the time. I think what was interesting for Ian, for me, was, I grew up a Floridian. I never spent a hurricane in Disney, though. But I watched, like the differences in counties and where you are in Florida, right? Like what my parents experienced was so much different than what people, in Orange County and Volusia and everywhere over in, the Disney area and stuff. And I know that my parents even were like, we wish that we were closer, because then we would just go stay at Disney, where it would be 10 times more fun, and we wouldn't just be stuck in our houses by ourselves. So it's interesting to see the different perspectives from the different parts.
Yeah, and obviously, there were a lot of people who lost a lot in Hurricane Ian. We're not saying that it went well, and to those people, our hearts go out to them, because, yeah, it's tough. You watch it on the news, and hurricanes are always a horrible thing, and obviously you can't predict them. And the fact that Disney prepares, I feel kudos to them. I feel like they did a great job of putting a lot of things in place to protect people, and then also afterwards to entertain people, because you've paid for this luxury vacation. You can't be worried about that kind of stuff when there are life-threatening storms coming, but at least they go in and take care of you. I was showing that the kind of schedule of things and activities they had for people to do inside as they were taking shelter from the storm. So I want to go to you on this, Coach. What are your thoughts about how they handle everything?
I think this is, love it, Duck Guy, absolutely. For me, I think this is try to look at the positive on things, and you realize how special the cast members really are and how important they are. Mm-hmm. These people are not only entertaining you, they're not only going above and beyond. These people are staying in the hotel, right? We need to remember the fact they're not going back to their families and their homes either. They're sleeping in the hotel in most cases, and they're working extra shift. Yeah, they're getting paid extra for it, but they're worried about their families too, right? So they're sacrificing and a lot of times their comfort and their knowledge of knowing that they're protecting their families by doing it for others. And I think that's something we tend to forget about. But to me, this is an example of that really special Disney touch and what made Disney great in the beginning, right? What was the Disney difference? This is a prime example of that. You have a bunch of people that are going above and beyond. And what we've heard is a lot of the younger, guests and kids love this because it is so special with the characters being there and the activities going on. I think the parents maybe don't look at it that way because they're spending all this money and we always want to go in the park. But this is a nice little unique touch that I really think demonstrates how special Disney is. I just wish, to get a little bit sarcastic, is if they could plan how they do their merchandise. They could plan for a hurricane, but they can't figure out how many Figment popcorn buckets to order, which kind of blows my mind a little. But it really is one of those things where it's impressive. Like, they clearly have food stock. They clearly have a plan. These cast members know what they're going to do. And it's impressive. It's really magical, to use a cliche phrase, how special that Disney difference is. Because they are sacrificing seeing their own families, and I think we tend to forget that sometimes.
Yeah,
and they work.
Go ahead, Alicia.
They work so well, with like everyone who could potentially be coming from out of town, with cancellations and trying to rebook. We missed out on Halloween parties. Halloween Horror Nights missed out, and they worked. As long as you called and stuff and ahead of time, like they were waiving cancellation fees. Like they did everything they could to make sure people were staying home and being safe and not flying in.
Yeah, that's it. And exactly. It was interesting that they did offer obviously refunds for those, which are, they say when you buy your ticket that these are non-refundable, non-transferable, and yet they made allowances because that's the decent thing to do, and they were ahead of the curve. They didn't have to have somebody tell them this is the decent thing to do. They did it. So again, kudos to them for doing that. The after effect of that, though, was that people who were coming to town for the 40th anniversary and then ended up coming anyway, we're able to get tickets to the Halloween party. So I'm sure they still sold some tickets even though they were able to give people discounts on it. But that was the thing that I was looking at during the storm is, there were a lot of people who were headed there for the Epcot 40th on October 1st. And I was just thinking, are they going to be able to, are people still going to show up? Is it still going to be, safe for people to go there? How's that going to turn out? So we will talk about that in a second. One story I want to share, though, is when I was there during a hurricane. My daughter was really little. They brought characters into the hotel, and I have my favorite picture ever of her is Donald Duck sitting on the floor holding my baby daughter like in his lap, and getting that picture because that's that magic difference, the difference that they make when they're doing that. So it was, again, I'm glad that they were able to take care of guests, keep everyone safe in there, and to anyone who's been affected by the storm, our thoughts are with you. So that's Ian. Again, we weren't on last week, so I wanted to at least touch base on that because I think they did an amazing job. Moving on to Epcot 40, which actually did happen and take place. I want to get some thoughts because I don't think any of you were there, right? Not actually. Look, see, Shannon looks very sad, but you got merch. Really, that's all that matters.
I did. Shout out to Shop Disney and Disney for putting some 40th merch. I mean, I did have to pay full price for the Spirit jersey, which is a really tough pill to swallow when they were offering, 30% AP discounts. But nonetheless, thrilled that they were putting some of the merch online for those who couldn't make it. I was there for the 30th. I hope I'm not aging myself on the internet. It was really sad. I just missed not being there for the 40th. So.
Yeah.
Even those there for the 40th, though, wasn't the merchandise delayed for a lot of it because of Ian?
I mean,
I'm not crazy, right?
No, some of it was. Some of it was delayed,
Okay.
but a lot of it was there. So a lot of the merchandise, like the Harvey's bags, came like on the 2nd,
Yeah.
I think, maybe the 3rd, but there was a ton of stuff there. They had day of merch. And then they had like the stuff they're going to have for the celebration. And I want to say, just my own hot take, which I think is an unpopular opinion, I think they did a great job for the 40th anniversary of Epcot. I really do.
That is a hot take.
It is. And I mean, because a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they phoned it in. They didn't really do a good job. I really feel like there was a lot of care taken to the 40th, more so than there would be for a normal, like, secondary park 40th, like not for the resort. A lot of people are like, well, it's different. They didn't do the same thing they did for the 50th. Well, the 50th was for the entire resort. It's 50 years of that entire resort. We're talking about this one park, which is very special to all of us. But I do feel like they did a great job with decorations. They did a presentation, which I wasn't expecting them to do, with Mariachi Cobre and Voices of Liberty, and talked a little bit with the ambassadors, something I was not expecting them to do, and they did. They did an amazing beacon show, which if you guys haven't seen it, is on our website, wdwnt.com. You can go see the beacon show that was just for the 40th. They changed the music loop in the as you walked into the park to the old school music with Listen to the Land and Horizons and things like that as you were walking in. So they did that. They had day of merchandise that was dated merchandise for October 1st. Then they also had other merchandise that was in there, and some of the stuff, like they made a couple different displays inside of the creation shop. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff that they did. They had the huge logo on the taco barges for the 40th. They had banners up when you walked in. They had pole wraps. They give people the commemorative maps when you would go in, and they gave you posters when you would go out. Like, again, Alicia,
that holographic poster went the extra mile. That I was very jealous of.
Exactly. So let me go this to Alicia, because you said it was a hot take. What do you think they missed?
No, I think that it absolutely is a hot take, and I think what we did as a company like WWNT, I think we put a lot more heart and soul into it. Like, if I was there, I would have gone our stuff over what they did in Epcot. I just think there's a certain magic in bringing back Imagineers and like talking to the people who helped build the park, helped create. I love Epcot like so dearly, and to like hear people work on like the nighttime spectaculars and stuff from like when it opened. I think that that's the direction that these celebrations should be taking, and Bob Chapek wins them. That's my take. We care more as a company. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And if you didn't catch what we did for WDWNT, you can go to events.wdwnt.com, and you can still stream the event that we had with Tim Delaney and Don Dorsey, and talk to them about their the things that they contributed to Epcot. I absolutely love every bit of that. But as a company, I felt like that they gave the fans a lot of fan service, which is stuff that we had wanted in the past and we didn't get to have, right? So like going back to the 30th of Hollywood Studios, they pretended like nothing from the past ever existed. Okay. They like
I will give you that.
Right, and at least with this one,
we were there together.
Yes, exactly, right.
It was a parade, right? Like that's what we got. It was like a 5-minute spiel, and then it was a parade. So I will give you that they put more effort into the 40th. I forgot about that. Yeah. I forgot how crappy it was.
Yeah, I mean, and again, with that one, they were like, we're blowing up everything that you loved about Hollywood Studios. Remember the great movie ride? That's not there anymore. There's a lot of things that are closed. Here's a new logo that looks like it was made in somebody's Photoshop class. Here's, I mean, like all, and then they didn't acknowledge any of the past. Everything was about the new Mickey Mouse, BB-8, Toy Story, all of that kind of stuff. It wasn't about the past, and at least here we got to experience a little bit of what was the past. There were a couple things I was saying that I think that they should have done. The Beacon show should have lasted, and they should have kept it. At least for a couple months, if not the entire 40th. And then also, we had talked about Harmonious is we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but the rumor or what we're being told is that Epcot Forever is coming to take its place. Would have been great if they dropped that day. And moving forward from that, but I guess they're still trying to celebrate the 50th with Harmonious. And then the other thing is that and we'll talk about this later too, is the DuckTales adventure is supposed to be coming, and wow, wouldn't that have been a great surprise for everyone if they had dropped that day? Like, I feel like that was very doable. So there are a couple things I think that they still missed out on, but there were some things that I thought were still pretty cool about what they did. This is that poster you were talking about, Shannon. You can see the little bit as you lay it backwards, that you can get a rainbow off of that one. But tell me your thoughts on what you saw, Shannon.
Well, I didn't see anything. Are you talking about just online?
Just online.
Just bitter about the fact that I wasn't there. Yeah, no, I love that they were able to get all the decorations up as quickly as they did. The music, I know a lot of people just sat there and appreciated it, and I love. One of my favorite things to do in the parks nowadays, rather than running to the rides rather, is sitting and just taking in everything. And I can't imagine what it must have felt like to sit there and take that music in. The merchandise looked great, and the presentation they did at the American Adventure Pavilion was very nice as well.
Well, and here's the thing that they did inside Connections, which is this huge display that's up above the registers. And I think this is amazing, but the first reaction that I saw from most people is, why weren't these available for sale, like plush versions of these, in these outfits? So, I mean, again, they're not going to hit every mark, but there was a lot of stuff that I think they did. Coach, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it was, here's my thing, right? Go to events.wwnt.com. It was amazing. If you didn't listen to it, it's worth every penny. Half of what you pay gets donated. We didn't do it to make money. We did it because it was the right thing. I think what scares me is we're getting away from the history of honoring what Walt Disney World is, right? What Epcot is. And I know we'll talk about Figment in a little bit, but like, for me, it was better than expected in a lot of ways, right? But I'm curious to be how good of the celebration would it have been if it wasn't during the 50th celebration? I sort of I know it doesn't line up timeline wise, but it would have been great to see if like maybe this was year 49 and this was a way they could have kind of. It seems to me like it took a little bit of a back seat, unfortunately, and I think merchandise killed it for the most part, and I think we found in a lot of these celebrations that's the department that really is going above and beyond, whether it's the Vault collection or all the different things they've released. But to your point, Rob, there was some nostalgia, right? When they changed the music, like little things like that. If you know you're going to make that harmonious change, why not just lean into it? No one's happy with the taco barges. That's why they're called taco barges in the Stargate. Nobody's happy with it. There's not one person that's like, we're going to picket this place if you get rid of take my sight lines back. We're going to get so mad. We want to not be able to see across the lagoon. So I think you could have used it as a springboard to announce other things like you said. And I think that was a missed opportunity. But overall, I think it was much better than I expected. And I think part of that was just we kind of flexed and did our thing, and it was really awesome. But I think it really was much better than I think I was expecting, honestly.
That's fair. And again, I think there was a lot of stuff. There was a huge line to get merch and to get into Connections, or not Connections, to Creation. And once people got through that line and got in, it was a good experience to get in there and shop. And there was a lot of merchandise around. There weren't too many things that I couldn't get. There was a coin that I didn't need. It would have gone in a drawer. It was like $30-$40, and but I wanted it. I mean, that didn't want me. I didn't want it any less. The Figment plush I thought was going to be like gone like that. They still had some that may be a during the duration kind of a situation. A lot of the extras, the larger sizes of shirts were gone quickly. Who knew? But I think that they had a ton of stuff available. All the pins, there was one pin, if you guys saw the pins that were available, there was one pin for each country. which I think was
Yes.
neat. There was, that was exciting and costly as well. I mean, but again, here's a look at some, the preview that we got, and some of the stuff was available online too. The one thing that was available online that I never saw hit the parks was the ornament. So maybe that was sold out quickly, but the ornament looked amazing. It has the lights on it, and it lights up, and it's got the ball, and Figment doing some weird pose. I don't know what that pose is about. It's like Figment looking thirsty. Anyway, so I mean, come on.
We're taking around the world, Rob.
Yeah, but again, I think it was a good. I think they did a really good job with it. We'll talk more about a couple other things, but anyway, Epcot is now 40 years old. Coach, one thing that strikes my mind as you were saying about if it wasn't the 50th, it's kind of like having your birthday around Christmas, isn't it? It's like we had our 40th during the 50th.
Both of my children do, so it makes December a very expensive holiday in my household.
Well, yeah.
More than most.
Speaking of holidays, it's basically Christmas already. Yeah, transitions are here. So, so this week they announced Christmas, which is always weird to me, and I can't wrap my head around the cycle, because if you're going to go for Christmas, you need to plan now. I get that, but it does seem weird to have all of these huge Christmas announcements when we haven't even, Alicia, had your favorite holiday, at least I think it is, which is Halloween, right?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You've known me so well. No, I think you're right, though. You have to start planning now. It's just like if you're going for the Halloween parties, you need to be booking. And especially because I think it was about, I want to say maybe a few weeks ago, that they had released at least resident deals for hotels during the holiday season. So I think it was like November, December. So I mean, these rooms are going to be gone quick. You need to start planning now. And we've already seen, like, how quick did the Not So Scary parties sell out? It was like before I think the party started. Like, people are so excited after COVID to be going to these things that they have to be announcing now. Otherwise, you're not going, or you're just going to be a local going.
Yeah, and one of the things that I feel like is, in the past, I thought that Hollywood Studios was always the Christmas park, right? When we had the Osborne lights. Yeah, and I think they tried to fix that a little bit afterwards with, like, Gertie getting a Santa hat and the Sunset Season's greetings and, all the treats. But I feel like at this point, doesn't it feel like Epcot's kind of the Christmas park, Festival of Holidays?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, what about the winter, oh my gosh, what was it called in Epcot?
Yeah,
I only
processional.
experienced it once when I was very little. Not the candlelight processional, but it was, they did holiday lights, like, all the way down. Does anyone remember this? There was a name.
No.
I do. It was you once you pass by the Fountain of Nations.
Yes,
Look it up, kids.
It was like archways,
yeah.
the big lights, kind of like Osborne scale.
Oh.
Yeah,
That
and
always
I
felt-
don't remember this.
And the storytellers too.
Yeah, the storytellers are amazing, and let's not sleep on that cookie stroll. You got to get them cookies.
Oh.
This is funny to me, the cookie thing, because there's, like, you buy 5 cookies and then you get the completer cookie. First of all, this really triggers me as a collector. Just saying. And then the second part of that is, like, once you finish 5 cookies, is really what you want as a reward another cookie? I mean, that's kind of
and
like
half of these cookies are pretty not great. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there. So,
well, Alicia, you always are the one who kind of has to take the lead on all of the festival booths and everything like that. So in the past, you've seen these cookies, so you're like, pass.
yeah, no, I think there's, in my recollection from previous years, I think about 3 cookies are worth it. But the thing is, you can also get the cookies at the booth, like, for the country that they're from. So you don't have to do the stroll. Unless you're, like, a crazy collector like Rob, you can just go buy the cookie by itself. The only one you can is the collector cookie. And normally, I think for this year, they're bringing back that, like, 50th sugar cookie. So it's just going to have that, like, screen print of the blue with the characters with the 50. It's not worth it, in my opinion.
Well, okay, that's fair. I mean, I want that cookie
I know
now.
It triggers you. I know.
I want that cookie now. That's the only cookie I want. That's the one. You know, something else that they talked about something else they didn't talk about with their announcements, but they talked about the New York Comic Con, which we'll talk about that in a minute, and the other announcements they made. But they actually announced having this, and I'm looking for it here. Stand by. This is something I've really been looking forward to. And Shannon and I were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind before the show. This is exciting to me and also disappointing to me, because what they're going to do is they're going to have an original song, or they didn't even call it an original song. They called it a custom song. Mm-hmm. That's weird. That's supposed to be like, a throwback to other Christmas songs, and they're going to have this custom song play, so everybody gets the same song, kind of like Monsters After Dark with the attraction, the Guardians Tower in California. I was really already kind of spitballing what songs might be on there for Christmas, like, Run Run Rudolph, or Jingle Bell Rock, or, those kind of things that would be in there. So I don't think that the story changes, but Shannon, after you got to ride this attraction, you're all about it. What do you feel? What do you think it's going to be like having a holly jolly trip through space?
Well, first of all, I hesitate to even comment on this, because months back on ParksCenter, when Rob asked me if I was excited about this attraction, I said, not really, because I don't really care for the movies that much. And I take that back, because that ride is incredible. I am so happy that they're doing a holiday overlay. I don't really understand the idea of doing just one song. I think there are so many holiday songs out there, Christmas songs, that can go to this attraction so well. But again, I hesitate to say it'll be a poor choice in just the one song. So this is a wait and see. Rob, are you muted?
Muted, Rob.
No, you're muted.
Breath away. Took his breath away.
No, so you saw us pop up and trying this out. We want to, thank everybody that does super chats for us. And so Rosita has this super chat for us. Wanted to show my love and support to the show. Love Disney of old. Epcot is my favorite park. Wish there was more 40th celebration, but not really surprised. Thanks for all you do. Oh, thank you so much, Rosita. We appreciate it. It's very kind, very sweet, very kind. How about that? There you go.
Super chat queen. Super chat queen.
Yep. So, Coach, have you ridden this attraction? You've done this, right? You've done times. Guardians. Yeah. And what do you think about the Christmas thing?
I had the same kind of thought you did. For me, it's like, I guess if I'm only going to ride it once, that's fine. But I know for us, the excitement of not knowing what song it was going to be. I know we talked about this on the show, WW News. The Thursday show, they had a panel about what songs they thought it was, and Piano Rob made a really good statement. He said it really comes down to how the beats of the songs are, and there's really only so many options you could actually play full song-wise. So I wonder if they tried to go through the exercise of having all of those songs and realized, hey, we can make this a lot easier on ourselves, chop up 4 or 5 songs, and then put them in that order and then go from there. And I think that's probably why it resulted in this, because from what he was saying, and he's a lot smarter with musical stuff for me, it probably, I mean, I confirmed it with my brother who's a musician, and he basically said to me, he's like, yeah, it's kind of challenging to find like a song that fits it perfect. So my guess is that's probably why, and I know you're a music guy, Rob, so maybe that's the real reason, but I'm still disappointed. So,
Yeah. Well, I love this attraction so much. It is right now is my top attraction, and I was talking to people when I was riding it recently and saying, like, why do I not really care as much about what song I get when I ride Guardians Tower in California as I do here? Like, I couldn't even tell you necessarily. I've ridden it a bunch of times. I love it. Other than Monsters After Dark, I'm not really sure which other songs I've had. I think I've had the Elvis song, and I think I've had the Jackson 5 song. But this one, it really makes a difference to me. And so when they're like, we're going back, and then there's that pause, and it's like, what song is it going to be? And then they launch you backwards, and then it's like, conga again? Come on! Like, I mean...
I have a question. Do we know if two sides, if the trains have like 3 or 4 songs and the other one has the other 3 or 4 songs? Does anyone know that? Because I'm curious, if you're always on the right side, are you always going to get the same 3 or 4 songs?
No. Because because each train goes down that same track eventually, right? So I don't think that's what matters is what song what side you're on. But they do go in order. I don't think they're randomized. So if you were to ride it and then come back and ride it again, or they go in a certain order. I've had everything except for
Kinda
September
similar-
and Disco Inferno.
Kind of
September we
similar to
had
like
the
Rock
first
and
one.
Roller Coaster,
jammed
how
out.
each train is it like
Yeah.
similar to Rock and Roller Coaster, how each
Yeah.
train has their own specified song, kind of.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You haven't ridden it yet?
No, 4 days. 4 days, people. That will be
All right.
It's exciting. You're gonna like it.
Yeah.
It's you
so
just jammed out.
excited.
I remember I looked at my wife and we were just jamming out, and our kids are looking at us like, why are mom and daddy just jamming out to September right now? Because it's
So that's
September. That's why.
great.
That's the one song I wanted, and I got it on the first ride, and then.
Well,
we
rub
got
it in.
on
Zach,
but yeah, sorry.
not Zach. It's my husband's name. Rob hasn't gotten September yet.
Or Disco
I
Inferno.
love-
I was
I would
looking at
love-
chat.
I would.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I would love to have a video of the people on the ride, because I guarantee you
Yeah.
it would be hysterical if there were cameras on the ride vehicles and everybody's dancing around and making all these like thinking that we're in rhythm, and reality we're like a half a beat off, and it looks ridiculous like at most weddings. I think it'd be pretty funny. Like,
It's like
look at that guy, he's not even close to being on beat. Yeah, so I think it'd be pretty funny. But
In
it's
chat,
an
Oma,
experience. It's really awesome.
Oma Loves Disney says 6-song vet, which jealous and congratulations. Sad about the overlay. That is interesting though. Like during that time, you won't be able to chase those other songs you want because you'll be getting the Christmas song. So I think it is a mixed bag, and we've talked about that with overlays in general. Is that there's it's kind of cool when you go to Disneyland and you get to do the Haunted Mansion holiday. It's one of my favorite overlays. At the same time, if you have never been to Disneyland and it was your only time to go and you didn't get to ride the Haunted Mansion in its original form, that would probably be a little disappointing, I would think. So with this one, it's going to be whenever they start this. I think that it could be November 11th when they start all the Christmas stuff, or it could be the 25th when they start Festival of the Holidays. But whenever they start it, it'll be that till January 6th probably. So you won't it's good that you're getting down now, Alicia, and you get to try it out and you can tell us what songs you get. But Tom and I are at odds because he loves conga. My favorite was Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It was the first one I had. And it's just so smooth. What? Shannon?
It felt drastically slower to me than One Way or Another or September. Like the whole mood changed. I thought it was terrible. Sorry.
Terrible.
Wow.
Got it.
Wow. Talk about hot takes.
Wow. Oof. Anyway. All right.
Time for a break yet? Wow.
Yeah, no. Pretty soon. Let's move on to the 100 Years of Wonder, because they talked about this at D23. The 100 Years of Wonder are coming. We are celebrating because D23, 1923 was when the company started. 2023, next year, is when we start to celebrate 100 years of the Disney company. And at that time, the epicenter of their celebration is going to be Disneyland, which actually sort of makes sense because we just had this huge celebration at Disney World. You want someplace where people can come and experience things in person. Disneyland is going to be that place, and so they've come up with like this sort of platinum look for banners and a new castle overlay and a new castle show, a nighttime show, and a new show over at the World of Color. And then they're actually announced that at the same time all that opens up, that they're also going to open Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is great. That's finally going to get to open. But apparently they're not going to open all of Toontown, just Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So, I mean, I'm picturing one of those things like you go through in New York City when you walk under a building and they've got the little bridge of scaffolding that you walk under, that you would walk through that to get to this amazing attraction. So I'm excited that it's open, but it feels like it's going to be a muted version of it if you don't get to like do the big approach when you come into it. But at the same time, I assume most of y'all on this panel don't normally go and frequent Disneyland. Is 100 Years of Wonder enough, Coach, for you to pack up the fam and take them out to Disneyland?
Probably not. I mean, the first park I ever went to was actually Disney World. So I did the reverse. I have a theory on this. I think if you've gone to Disney World first and then you go to Disneyland, there's kind of like that moment of like, okay, where's the rest of it? And so for me, it's a little challenging, because that's what I said to my wife. I'm like, where's the rest of the park? And she was like, this is the park. I was like, but there's only 2 of them. So I don't know. It's expensive to get to California. It's definitely something we want to do with the kids, but Selfishly, we'll probably wait until everything's maybe finished. It's probably worth it. But I think it's just a way to kind of get the locals to kind of go, because I know they're having all the issues with the annual passes and all that jazz. So I think it's just a way for them to try to boost attendance and try to add things that will get the locals to keep going. That's kind of my theory on it. I'm hoping there's changes. I guess we've heard there really isn't going to be in terms of the actual ride itself, but there are some areas for improvement, obviously, from the Florida version that they could have done. Who knows? Maybe they did, but we're hearing no. So, but that's my theory, right or wrong.
Well, and here's a picture of what the castle decorations are going to look like, which is nice. They've got the wishing star on the top, and they've added these 2 fountains to the side. Maybe the same guy that worked on the Harmonious fountains will be working on these 2, and they'll just be perfect. But I mean, I think it's kind of cool that they do this. Somebody in chat, I saw it roll through a second ago, asked the question about, if, here it is, Disney Sparkle. If the Disneyland is the epicenter of the 100th celebration, does that mean that they're going to somewhat ignore the 70th in 2025? I feel like Disneyland probably will not ignore the 70th. I think that they probably will really roll out some good stuff for it. I'm hoping that the rumored Tomorrowland changes that they haven't talked about yet may be something that they roll out for that. That would be the fan service that we all feel like they should give us for that one. So I'm thinking that Disney does not miss an opportunity to celebrate something. That's why they're celebrating 100 years of wonder right now. So that's going to be. I think you'll still get your full boat on that one. But Alicia, when you look at all this stuff, is there anything from the 100 Years of Wonder that you're looking forward to?
Well, it's kind of interesting because we were already planning on going out to California next year. So I am excited that I'll be able to get to see this stuff. I do think the castle looks really pretty. I kind of like how it has a little bit of that like classic Sleeping Beauty look to it. Which I think it's like not like, storybook looking. I think it kind of brings us back to that. I don't know. I hope that we see a little bit more of like the original elements, maybe some like retro characters come out just to kind of honor like, where this company started, and we'll see.
Well, and they say that the show is actually going to be something that's going to have all of Disney's animated films rolled into it. So they performed the new song for it at D23, so they're getting ready to rock with this thing. It looks like it's going to be a pretty neat thing to do. It'll be worth it for me to go see it. The funny thing though is, as soon as announcements like this go, my head goes, let me look into park passes. What can I reserve something right now? And apparently they've paused all park passes right now. So they haven't, they're like, until I think it's January 8th. Anything after January 8th apparently is on pause until they, I guess, get ready to do some kind of big reveal about this maybe. I don't know, but Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is probably, I don't know, will people flock to the parks for that one, Shannon? If you're in Disneyland and all they're doing is adding it to what exists instead of replacing the treasured attraction?
No, I don't think so. And maybe it's too early to tell. That doesn't feel like this anniversary is going to be super big or super special, although I'm definitely optimistic because I feel like what we've been seeing lately is Disney listening to their fans. I think we saw that with the 40th merch, giving us all the Figment that we want, getting rid of Harmonious, so many big changes happening. So who knows, maybe they'll pull some things out for this that they have yet to announce. I'm due for my trip, so I think this will sweeten the pot a little if I can get over there.
Okay. Well, again, the Runaway Railway looks like it's going to be, in the right place here. I feel like that, that they're finally, that it's going to work in Disneyland. Again, they're not replacing anything but backstage area and one gift shop. And they're adding this whole not interactive, but huge queue, which has a lot of calls to Mickey's history, as opposed to redoing the old queue for the Great Movie Ride. So it really looks like they're taking the extra effort for this one. So I'm looking forward to that. And as Coach, as you mentioned earlier, that there's they're saying that there's some extra magic that they're putting into this one, and hopefully they do some things that we go, that looks really cool. Let's go ahead and put that back into the one in Florida and make that one just a little bit better too. So, I mean, the one thing that still bothers me, I like the attraction. I wish it wasn't where it was in Florida. I like the attraction. I wish the faces are still weird.
Yeah.
So if they find a way to fix that, then please usher that into the Florida parks immediately. Let's move on to the next thing because, and again, I've said this before. Every time I feel like we've come back and reopened everything that we've been waiting to reopen, then it's like, oh yeah, there was that other thing that we didn't reopen yet. And why did it take so long to bring breakfast back, to Cape May and to Ohana? I don't understand. Alicia, you absolutely have the answer for me. Why did it take so long?
I don't have the answer for you because so my last trip to Florida, which was last August, we did breakfast at Ohana, and I had to tell my poor boyfriend who had never been there before, I'm like, so this is cool. It's usually cooler. And he was like, well, when is it going to be cooler? And I was like, I don't have the answers for you. So like him, I don't have the answers for you, Rob. I wish I could say it was a COVID thing, but if we're already doing meet and greets, then that doesn't make sense. So I don't know why it took them so long to bring them back. Maybe they forgot about them. Who knows?
No, I don't. How do you forget about Stitch? I don't think so. Our studio producer Jake is a huge Stitch fan, humongous, and so much so that when we did the review, he had to be there for opening day. And I think that when Stitch finally he got a hug from Stitch, it was like that was it. It was over the moon. So and I'm so happy for him that happened. But I'm sure he was counting the days. He probably had one of those where they show in prison movies where they scratch into the walls. He probably had how many days it had been since he had been able to have breakfast with Stitch. I mean, it's character breakfasts are awesome. Yeah, I mean, Coach, when you take your family, do you guys have a favorite that you go to that your kids like either the food or the characters or something?
We kind of like to mix it up. We really like Topolino's Terrace just because the food's really good, and I get to meet Donald, so it's kind of a selfish decision for me. But we try to mix it up, so every time we go, we change things. We've done them all. There are a lot of really good ones. I think it's a huge part of the magic. If I had to guess, it was a staffing issue. But I think it's one of those things where even during the hurricane when they weren't having, we talked about it before, I think they charged $20 for the buffet with no characters. Which is an insanely fair price considering everything what they normally charge. And that was for an adult meal. So the characters add to the magic, right? And I think it's to see your child light up and have them be able to hug them and everything. It's a big deal. And so anything that gets cast members back to work and more entertainment for me, I'm for, even if I'm not a fan of that entertainment. I think that's what makes Disney and not Six Flags, and I think we need to keep pushing for that, and hopefully Streetmosphere will make its way back because they haven't come back yet, and that needs to happen yesterday. So
okay, that's fair. What about you, Shannon? Do you have a favorite character meet and greet breakfast?
Well, this is going to come as a surprise to no one, but I am a Grinch and I don't care for character meet and greets. I just want to eat my food in peace and go rope drop. But the real question stands as to why the spas are still closed, all but one.
I love
the spa day.
Yeah, I love that that's where your mind goes. Is it's all about the spa day, right? I will tell you that my daughter, when we went the last time, she wanted to go to Trattoria Al Forno because the Bon Voyage breakfast that they had there, she absolutely loved that breakfast, and she didn't ever want to go back because the characters messed with her the last time she was there because it was those couples. It was it was Flynn Rider was there and Prince Eric and Ariel and Rapunzel. And she was just like, I don't really want to do that. And I was like, well, right now the characters aren't there. And she's like, I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's me.
Your daughter is the opposite of me. I'm a 26-year-old adult, and I'm still like, I need my character breakfast and meals. I hate the food at 1900 Park Fair. I don't think it's very good. Or it used to be. It's gone downhill. But I will book there every trip just for the characters because they have such a great selection of you've got Alice, you've got Mad Hatter, you've got the Stepsisters, Winnie the Pooh. It's fantastic.
Well, there was a villains breakfast, I think, at 1900 Park Fair. No, it was a dinner at 1900 Park Fair that I went to with my son once, and it was Captain Hook and Queen of Hearts and Governor Ratcliffe from Pocahontas. It was a random assortment. He loved that, but then put him in front of the Pooh characters. He's like, no, yeah.
Sorry, Winnie.
So, yeah, exactly right. So one thing I did want to say here is that we had a super chat just now for volume. So it was everyone else has put their input at a pleasant 7, but Rob is at a blaring 7. Yes, 7. So hopefully we've adjusted everything from now. So if you guys are still having problems, let me know. I do like 7, but I don't want to blow everybody's ears out. So if we're good, hopefully we're there. But thanks for the heads up, Joseph, and the $7 to cover it as well. So hopefully, again, everybody's at the right volume. We've made some adjustments, so we should be good. We should be Gucci. So let's move on to the next big topic, which is scavenger hunts. I love the scavenger hunts, and the funny thing is you can do the scavenger hunts for free, but because I have a paper problem when it comes to Disney, I want the maps. Like, I need those maps. I don't necessarily need the completer prize, but I want the actual map that they have with them. And they're like, Epcot is the place where they do these. I think it's great. I think it's really fun that they're able to put in these, an extra layer of fun for kids and adults, obviously, in World Showcase. And to be able to do that, they've actually added a couple more. So they do one, they double up at Easter because they do the Easter egg one. And then they do the one for Flower and Garden, which is which is now Spike, and so there's 2 going on sometimes at once there. Then for Food and Wine, they did Hide and Squeak with Remy, and then they do Festival of Holidays. They did it last year, I think, or the last time they did Chip and Dale, and this year they're doing Olaf, and he's going to be. It's based off the little special that they do. I'm going to go back to you again on this one, Coach, because when you go, do you tell your kids that there's a map and that you're going to pay $10 for each of them to get the completer prize, or do you pretend like there's not a map and you just point things out?
I'll be honest with you. When we went last time, we did for the first time Pirates Adventure. I know that's not in the park we're talking about, but we did that sort of that thing that's in Adventureland, and it was one of the best experiences we've ever had in Disney. Like, if you've never done that, it's amazing. You walk around, you have to scan your magic band, you can shoot cannons off. It is tremendous. We had my father-in-law, who is of a certain generation that I think had more fun than anyone else. He was like, let's go here, let's go there. The kids are running everywhere and activating things. And at one point we activated a cannon and someone was sitting down, didn't realize they were in front of, because we didn't know what was going to happen. And we blew cannon smoke in a random stranger's face, which I feel bad about, but was kind of funny. These types of things are great because obviously anything that disperses the crowd is huge, right? Because it's already packed. People are already cranky. And to be able to do this type of stuff, I think is cool. It's a Disney difference, right? It's a Disney touch. And again, more of this, it provides different experiences for people, right? So it's not necessarily re-rideability because it's not a ride, but it's re-attendability, I guess, which isn't a word that I just made up. But it's one of those things that everybody is able to kind of do. And anything that involves everybody, and this is the type of thing that you can do if you're in an ECB. This is the type of thing you can do if you have mobility issues. It's good for everybody, and I think something that's good for everybody, that everyone can enjoy, is always good in a theme park type of setting, because you can have someone that, let's say, a couple adults want to go drink around the world or do whatever, and you can have one person walk around and do this with a bunch of kids and have a ton of fun. So there's a lot of really good benefits to this. To answer your question, Rob, I would 100% buy it because I'm that dad. But it's awesome. It's a great experience for everybody, and the more the merrier. Keep bringing it. This is good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of fun. This is the map that they have, and this is the new one, this Pumpkin Pursuit, which is similar to the one that they've done at Downtown Disney in California. They've moved this, and it's available in Epcot now. And here's the little completer prize, this cute little pumpkin that you can't really put anything in, but it's cute. And then, that's cute. Yeah, and then here's what the pumpkins look like when they're hidden. So, I won't show any of the others because we certainly want to let you guys go find them on your own. But I've always found
this. I was going to say spoilers.
Right. I always love going and finding these, and sometimes it'll be just, to see if I can find them because I love those kind of puzzles that look at the picture and see where things are hidden. So I think it's a great thing too. I don't know if this is on your to-do list when you do stuff, Shannon, when you go to the parks, or you just totally skip over this and head over to some fine dining, maybe Monsieur Paul, I'm guessing. I don't know.
I did like the Figment paintings, though, for Festival of the Arts. I thought those were really cute. But no, it is not something that I tend to do in my journeys around World Showcase.
Okay. Well, the other thing that was really kind of weird that we noticed, and I don't know that we figured out why this happened, but
Are we going to talk about the plates?
Yes, absolutely. So here
I have opinions.
All right. So here's the cute little statue of Remy that you see when you look around the parks usually. But what we found was that they replaced them after the hurricane. They replaced them with plates that had the same thing on it. So I don't know if this was hurricane related or if they felt like that the statues needed to have some TLC. But I feel like Alicia's going to go off.
Yeah. So let me back up. I am a hunter. I am a Disney hunter, right? I have multiple Hidden Mickey books. I have written about Hidden Mickeys for this website. For the longest time that I can remember, we have been doing these dumb little scavenger hunts around Epcot. And I look forward to them every single trip. So I'm scrolling on, WW News Today, whatever, and I see this article that's like plates, are found instead of Remy's. And you would have thought that someone died. I think I had tears in my eyes. And I showed my boyfriend and he was like, what happened? And I was like, the Remy's are gone. He was like, what do you mean? And I showed him the pictures and he was like, but think about all of, the new designs that they can do. The art's really cute. And I just looked at him and I was like, this isn't my Epcot. And I just walked away. I am so heartbroken that these stupid Remy statues are gone. I need them to come back in 4 days so that my life will be complete. I'm excited about
back?
pumpkins. No, they're still the plates.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's tragedy. It's a tragedy, Shannon. So
I'm sorry.
Trip ruined, right?
Is this in an effort to be able to switch it out easier? Is this just because it's not a Remy statue now we can use it for different? Is that the optimistic spin on this? We can just put another decal on there and then change the scavenger hunt. It wouldn't be a challenge.
Do it in the middle of
the
the
spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm still gonna do both of them in 4 days. I'm looking forward to them. I like the prizes anyway. I needed those dumb little pumpkins anyway for my house. So I mean, I'll do it, and I'll just cry inside that Remy is missing in action.
I have a small plastic plate about this big from I think the holiday one last year, but I didn't get it until Festival of the Holidays actually. And I still have it. I mean, free stuff, kind of. I mean, I paid the $10 for the piece of paper.
Yeah, I think it was Festival of the Arts last year, maybe. I don't know. I have a Figment bowl from one of these, and we use that as our key bowl, so the house keys go in that. So, I find uses for these little things.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I saw this article and it made me think about the scavenger hunts in general. I think are something that are always a nice addition, especially during all of these festivals, because it's something else for the kids. Because it's food and wine. Well, it's usually food that kids wouldn't love, and it's wine that they can't drink. But what are they going to get out of this? And I think that having that something for them is really great. And when I say something for them, I also mean for me, because I'm always going to buy it just for me. I remember buying it for my kids and they're like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, no, you're going to do this. So it's kind of like the Clark Griswold. We're going to have fun. Yes, Shannon?
There is controversy in the chat that the statues are back.
Okay.
If they're back, then my trip will be saved. Let's be real here.
Okay. All right. Well, you'll report back to us.
We're just trying to give Alicia anxiety before our trip. That's all.
Yeah.
Listen, I already have high blood pressure. They can't make it worse, really.
Yeah. Let's talk about Halloween snacks because again, you got your trip planned. Have you and you get to see all this stuff that comes through the blog. I'll start again with you, Alicia. Is there some of the stuff that you've seen because I love the specialty foods that they do. And again, we're doubling up because you've got specialty foods for Food and Wine, and then you've got specialty foods for the 40th, and now you also have specialty foods for Halloween. Is there something you got your eye on right now?
Yeah, like my August and September working for this site were like just food. Like all I ever wrote about was food, and I had lists upon lists, and it kind of looked like a crazy person ranting about different ingredients in food. So I have read everything. I have prepped everything. I am well aware on what is being offered right now, and I have my little list. My mom and I have talked about everything. We're like this okay, that for Food and Wine. So I've got my list broken up per park. There isn't a ton, I would say, that kind of impressed us this year, at least. I think a lot of stuff, at least at the Halloween party, kind of came out generic, or there was some really weird combinations that they were trying out. But there is a ton of drinks and Food and Wine that I am looking forward to, and that's all you need, right? And liquor lunch.
We may need to get you into a program, but okay. So one of the things that stood out to me was this mess, which it looks like they took. It's awful. Yeah, the pizza Rizzo, because people already think pizza Rizzo is pretty classy as it is, right? So the idea that they would make
very bougie.
that they would make a cookie that looks like stuff you found under the couch cushions is about probably on point. For pizza Rizzo, I would get. Am I wrong? I mean, again, look at it. It's like
it does.
It's like what bad. You found at the bottom of Grandma's purse. I mean, like those little. I don't know. So let me ask you, Shannon. With all of these specialty treats, is it really about the treat, or do you think it's about the photo you get to take and put on Instagram with the treat? Is it about the taste and the treat, or is it about the photo?
Well, given some of the flavor combinations that they've been picking lately, I'd go with the, for photographic evidence. But I appreciate the efforts that they've been going to, especially with the Haunted Mansion push pops. What a beautiful play on the stretching room. Sadly, when I went to the Halloween party, I really wanted to try that corn bread in the shape of corn. But I was having heat exhaustion and just wasn't, so I didn't get to try any treats that night. But I just need to air a complaint while I'm here, and it's the fact that my candy bag was 50% Snickers and 50% Starburst. And I want a little more diversity in that bag.
You're going to have to go to Oogie Boogie. Sorry, that's where you get the diversity. They give you grapes.
Too difficult to get a ticket. Oh, I know, right. Sun chips.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, goldfish. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, you got gypped. You got gypped hard.
Or you could just go to the store and spend $10 and get all that stuff and not have to wait in line.
That would be the logical
thing
to do.
My plan for my Halloween candy from Not So Scary is to give to the children in the neighborhood. I'm not eating this. This is for the children coming to my home.
There you go.
Okay. But just you're going to take a percentage, right? Just a couple off the top, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay. So
let's check the candy, Rob. That's one of the few dad options you
Yeah.
have. You have to check the candy, which means take all the good stuff for
There
yourself.
you go.
So let's talk about this thing. I feel like, what the heck with this thing? It was like they glued a costume onto a cupcake. No?
It's
I mean,
really
again,
funny.
right?
Awful.
But like when you look down at, I mean, okay, you look at it from this side, again, it looks like they just glued some pieces on to make it.
It's that
this
classic
is sad
dome
right there.
cake that we've seen everywhere too.
Mm-hmm.
So again, for that one, I think it's about the photo. There was something that they did right after Buzz Lightyear came out, which was this alien freeze that that they had at Anti-Gravity's, which was it was blue slush at the bottom, some ice cream at the top, with green lime ice cream or Dole Whip, and then the three eyes on it. And the picture that I took of that, I got so many comments on it on my Instagram because it was better than the actual picture on the sign, which never happens. It's always the other way around, right? It's like when you go to McDonald's and you're like, look at that hamburger, and then you get it, and it's just like, this one was the opposite and was delicious. So, but something like this looks like, yeah, you're right, Shannon. They took a dome cake and they dressed it up for Halloween. It's in a costume, basically. They just stuck stickers of sugar on it. There's a lot of stuff that looks really good, but that one I thought looked like kind of a train wreck. There was one other thing that I wanted to ask you guys about here: the candy corn milkshake. All right, so we already have an audible review from Alicia. But I mean, this is one of those things that's like on a nice hot Florida day. This is. Do you want to mess with this? It has a donut on the top and already fallen. Look, just wow. Yeah, that looks like a hot mess right there.
Let's take the worst Halloween candy and make a shake out of it. What could go wrong?
You'd buy that for your kids.
The only thing
right?
I'm a fan of, the only
It's a
candy
hot
corn
take.
thing I'm a fan of is Donald Duck's popcorn bucket. That's it.
Oh.
And I don't have one, and I'm incredibly disappointed. But I'm gonna get one because it's Donald Duck, and he's the man.
Well, I will.
That's my hot
I
take,
will-
Rob.
Okay, so I'm going to say, though, first of all, you need to know it's a sipper, not a popcorn bucket.
Oh,
Doesn't matter. If I put popcorn in it, Rob, it's a popcorn bucket.
Okay, all right, fair
It's a
enough.
bucket that contains popcorn. Either way, it's going on a shelf and never getting used. So,
right.
Yeah.
The one that I
The only
need.
person,
Go ahead, Shannon.
sorry, I got us off track.
the only person who uses the sippers for sipping is Tom on News Tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
flex. To
Let me
flex.
just tell you, I went and got the Halloween. I went and got that one, Coach, and I had to look everywhere to get it because it was everywhere when I got there at first, and then it was almost gone. And I looked everywhere, finally found it at Pecos Bill, raced to get it there. And when I walked into Pecos Bill, my mobile order wasn't ready yet, and I looked over and I saw one of the cast members handing it, holding the string to a person. I was like, "That's filled with liquid. That I don't want mine filled with liquid. No." And so I raced up to the woman who wasn't dressed like a cowboy, and who I assume was a manager, and I said, "Hey, my order isn't up yet. Is it cool if you get the drink separately?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I think they were about to fill it with liquid, and that's not what it's for.
You don't
I'm sorry.
do that to these
It's supposed to
decorative
sit on a
slippers.
shelf. It's supposed to sit on a shelf. Speaking
And
of which,
collect dust.
exactly, this is the one that I'm crazy about right now.
Oh,
Is
I love
this
him.
Zero popcorn bucket, because I have Zero in his doghouse, but this one with the light up popcorn bucket. Here's the great thing about this. This is the most inefficient vessel for popcorn that has ever been invented in the history of time. I mean, I don't even know how you would put popcorn in that, but again, please, when I come up to the counter, please don't put popcorn in it. Just, even if I don't get the popcorn, I need the bucket. So, because that's the kind of problem I have. So, anyway.
Hold on, I want to shout out Patrick Hackett, who in chat said he uses his Thanos sipper, and I question you, sir. I question you.
He uses
live
his
from
what?
The Poly. Trust me, you can't. He drinks his Thanos sipper.
Oh,
But he's live at the Poly, so I don't know what kind of state he's in right now. So
Well, that's fair. He could have been at any
I take his
terrace.
comments with a grain of salt.
Well,
Yeah.
so the ones that are the drink holders, like I have the Buzz Lightyear drink holder that's just like a big glove, and you can put your drink in it. The same thing with the Thor's hammer that you put in the drink in the top. That's okay. I'm all right with that.
Yes.
But no, Patrick, no. You should know better. He's the one that yells at me for taking a pop out of a box and taking a picture of it and putting it back. And the boxes are designed that you can do that without causing any harm. Yet he's going to put liquid in a sipper. Come on, man, you're better than that. Anyway, hope you're having a good time, Patrick. And thanks for watching along. Patrick will be on next week to be able to tell us a little bit about his adventures in Disney World. So one more topic to talk about, and then we're going to take a quick break, and the back half of our show will be very lightning roundish. So these were the topics I thought we really needed to kind of dig into, is a hotel roundup, because there's a lot of construction happening or on the horizon for hotels. One of them was the Paradise Pier Hotel, which is in California. That one has actually already started its construction, and you have to enter that hotel through the back, because they're redoing the lobby. Shannon, I don't know. Like, I know you like to go first class whenever you go anywhere, but like,
Yeah.
if they just like ushered you into a conference room to a random table to sign up, wouldn't you expect some kind of, I don't know, a discount on your rate for that?
Yeah, you're not kidding. So when I went in February for Festival of the Arts, I ended up staying at Dolphin because I was on a budget that trip that wasn't really planned. But we walked over to Beaches and Cream at Yacht and Beach Club. I typically stay at Yacht Club, and there was a cherry picker in the middle of the lounge chairs in Stormalong Bay with scaffolding everywhere, and all you hear is a generator running and a cherry picker and they're spraying and whatever. I can't imagine that these people are spending $800 plus a night to lay in this beautiful pool and have a giant cherry picker sitting right next to you. I would have been outraged at the front desk if asking for a discount. That's unacceptable in my opinion.
Well, here's a look at it right now. So this is, by the way, this is Disney's bottom tier of the three at Disneyland, and I say bottom tier, it's like $300 to $500 a night. And there's all this construction going on outside, and then they usher you in the back. You have to go in the back, and then they put you in this conference room. That's where they check you in. They've made a makeshift lobby with makeshift like gift shop in the back of it here too. So again, construction is going to happen. I don't expect them to necessarily shut the whole place down, but I feel like other than like a warning on the website that they've given us, there should be some sort of a discounted rate. But I guess it's a supply and demand issue, right? Because they only have
Exactly.
three Disney branded hotels in California. Now, once this opens up, I think they're gonna open up as a Pixar hotel. Price is going to shoot up because Coach's kids are going to want to stay at the Pixar hotel. So he's going to make them pay a lot more for it. So they haven't discounted it while there's construction, and I can almost guarantee that the price will soar afterwards. So I mean, again, it feels like it's not fair. Same thing happened to the Poly. When the Poly was under huge construction, almost every amenity was closed. That was, no discount. I stayed at the Paradise Pier just before they started doing all this, and already the restaurants were closed. So, if you wanted to eat, you had to go across the street to Grand Californian or walk over to downtown Disney. So, I still feel like there should be discounts on that. The other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about here is they're going to get rid of the pirate rooms at, that was audible again from Alicia on that one. These I thought were pretty amazing at the Caribbean Beach Resort, and I mean they have these cool tables, and the beds look like pirate ships, and they had like the big skull and crossbones curtain when you would go in. Alicia, have you ever stayed at any of these, or do you just like hate to see the theming go?
No, I hate to see the theming go. A long time ago, Jessica Figueroa, who used to work here with us, her and I had this beautiful dream that we were going to rent this room and stay here for a night. And she's since left the site, and now they're changing the room, so it kind of just feels like the dream is dead, right? But I'm so big into theming, and I really hate to see the theming go, because anytime they talk about overhauling these rooms, like we look at, the All Stars and Pop, like they're taking away those kind of like character touches. So I'm really sad to see, this was kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean thing. And they keep saying that it's going to be like, they've hinted at Little Mermaid at least. And I feel like it's going to be more minimal probably than what it was for this. Like this whole bed frame is themed. They're not going to do that again. Bob Chapek is not going to pay for a bed frame to be themed.
Yeah. I want to say another super chat. William K. William, we love you, buddy. Missed the show because of baseball, but had to get my super chat in. Go Padres. Okay. Go Padres. Sure. So, yeah, dude, I'm on your side, man. So, William, thank you so much as always. We appreciate you. Hope you're having a good night if you're still around, or it might have been like seventh inning stretch. I don't know what was happening, but we appreciate you. So, yeah, I hope that dream isn't dead for you. I hope that you guys can still get in and have that happen, but I think you're going to have to up your timeline on that, Alicia, because it looks like the end is nigh. I've still not stayed in the Royal rooms, because they have the ones that they did where they went and I think that was at Port Orleans Riverside, that they took some of the rooms and they made them sort of princessy, but not like in your face princess, and no specific princess. I've never stayed in the royal rooms, and the funny thing is I was booked in a royal room. I was hoping to get my daughter in there, and then at the last minute they were like, "Hey, the royal rooms are not ready. Can we put you up anywhere else on grounds?" Anywhere else?
What?
And we went to Poly because we love Poly so much, and it was like same price. That's the kind of Disney difference they used to have versus
Wow.
the half the place is closed, but we still want you to pay full price, right?
Yeah.
So
We had that happen with us when we booked bunk beds at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and they upgraded us to like this like 8-person corner suite on the savannah, and like my daughter thought that all the animals were pets, because the giraffes were basically coming up. It was crazy. Like there was 4 of us,
That's so
and we could have
cute.
fit like 12 people. It was amazing. And I'm like, don't get used to this because this is like really expensive.
that
Part
is
of it
that's
was
a
because the night. Part of it was the night we got there. It was very late because we always kind of get there and then do the park thing. And I got to the front desk, and this is kind of a tip for everybody. They wanted to give me a blow-up mattress to sleep on because we didn't have enough. Like, I'm like, listen, you want me to blow a mattress up at 12 o'clock at night down a hallway? You're going to have 15 people just furious. I go, I could sleep in a chair right now. I don't care. And they're like, really? I'm like, no, really. I'm in Disney World. I don't care. We had done our 20,000 steps or whatever, and the guy was like in disbelief. I'm like, no, really, it's not a big deal. Just call me. And then they went out of their way to help me, as opposed to me screaming at the guy and then still getting an air mattress and then not getting anything. So be nice to cast members. They can help you out.
Well, one last piece of this is the Wilderness Boulder Ridge Villas, which I've never stayed in these before, but are getting a facelift, and it actually looks like they're going to have some character to them. The pictures we've looked at,
Wow.
still very much show some identity, which is something with the Grand Floridian villas that they've been doing. Looked very stripped down. Pop Century, when they redid those rooms, they're nice, but they're stripped down. I've stayed in like the Little Mermaid room, which is the same basic room as a Pop Century room, and the theming is over the top. Now it needs renovation.
Over the top.
Yeah, it needs renovation, but it's over the top. The little table that has like the music sheets on it, and the bubbles that are lights, and yeah, it's exactly
shower.
what you, yeah, exactly what you
shower
want to
is
take.
beautiful.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy that they're doing this. I've never stayed at Boulder Ridge, which is would like to at some point, but it looks like they're really kind of, again, Shannon, I think you mentioned this earlier, or maybe it was Alicia, that they're listening to us finally. That this
Yeah.
is one of those things where they're like, this is, we want there to be theming in a theme park. Go figure. And they're doing it, and it's pretty exciting to see. So. So the next thing we're going to talk about is a lot of things are starting to break around the town. So one of the things that fell apart was Hollywood Boulevard just broke. The entrance to Keystone, some of the facade fell off. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but it was one of those things that was just like, oh man, like is the joint falling apart, and what would have happened had our understanding is maybe an ECV or something had bumped into the wall and that the pieces fell off. But Alicia, I'm sure you saw this story, but first thing that pops into my mind was I'm just scared to death about that. What would have happened had it happened to somebody, or if somebody had gotten hurt here.
Listen, this isn't the first time the town has fallen apart. Need we forget the great monorail door of, what was it, like 2019, 2020? I don't remember. The whole town is falling apart. I'm so happy that people haven't gotten hurt yet. I think that this should be a sign for them to start doing better maintenance. At least just, check and make sure that things falling apart couldn't fall on a person and hurt them. That's all I'm going to ask for. Thanks, Disney.
Yeah. Shannon.
I don't know what to say about this other than I hope was just a really unfortunate accident. I'm more boggled by the fountain, but I see we have that up next.
Yeah, we'll talk about the fountain. This is the one, so you can see the piece of the front of the closures had come off. I don't know that we have a better shot of it, but yeah, it looks
I
like.
see some of these ECVs zipping around, so someone could have really hit that thing. And I really don't think this is Disney's fault. Not that we're saying it's Disney's fault, but these things do happen. Hopefully it's not a sign of crumbling infrastructure.
No, and hopefully, obviously, it's not. They were right on it immediately, though. You can see here that they had set up a kind of a privacy fence for whatever they were working on, and they closed the entrance immediately. And life went on, and they handled it quickly, like the cast members are always apt to do. But it was again, it was a big story for us on the blog, and it was one that, as it was unfolding, it was just scary to me to think if somebody had been right underneath it. Coach?
No.
Is not there. So
He's
anyway,
eating chips.
yeah, he's taking it off so he could go eat chips somewhere. So I would say that, for the most part, this looks like it was user error. It looks like somebody, jumped into it and something happened and it broke. But hopefully it'll all be okay, and we'll do well. But I know that you had said that, Shannon, you wanted to talk about the fountain. So I know they made fun of it on News Tonight that the fountain had kind of broken and that it was outside of Lime Garage. This is not Lime Garage's fault, people. I just need to put that out there that we stand Lime, and this is not because of Lime. But what were you going to say about the fountain here?
It's just it looks like a very, very large piece, and I think that is actual stone and not some kind of fiberglass. I can't comprehend how a big chunk like that just fell off.
Yeah, so
there has to be a story that is untold.
Yeah, but I guess the person who took the picture and sent it in to us was basically saying that this just kind of happened, that they saw it happen. But, could it be that the guy who jumped in to surf a few weeks ago had knocked it off somehow, or, but yeah, it is a huge chunk, and that's a scary amount of concrete to just fall. I don't know how you fix that, though. I think this is a little beyond super glue, Alicia. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I don't know if you're reordering like a new basin for this at this point, but I don't think you're just gonna like take some super glue or crazy glue and slap it back together. So RIP fountain, maybe. I hope that they replace it. Hope that they fix it. What's I think kind of nice about this is, like, you're saying, Shannon, this is a very heavy piece. What's kind of nice about that is that we know it's not going to blow into the wind and hit someone, right? Like anything from this structure is going to fall directly into the water. So it's nice to know that pedestrians will at least be safe. But yeah, just more signs that the town be in trouble.
The town be in trouble. While Coach is thinking about that, I would, I think we need to probably move on a little bit and talk about Harmonious. Here's the thing about Harmonious that we have not been told by Disney that they're getting rid of these barges, and these barges must have cost them about $500 gajillion, I'm guessing, because of all the things that they're at least supposed to do with the arms moving and the LED screens and the big Stargate with the water effects and the arms and the just everything that it does. This looks like it was quite an effort to put in for this for Harmonious, and the idea that they would have it in for. It looked like it was going to be in for the long haul. I mean, it was supposed to come in 2020 when COVID hit, and then they decided to hold it as something to launch for the 100 years, not 100 years, for the 50 years of Disney World. So the fact that it's going to be going away, it seems very unlikely, Shannon, that they would actually get rid of it. But everything we're hearing is that the barges are going away and that Epcot Forever is going to come back as a placeholder until the new show comes in.
Yeah, I'm in the camp of I'll believe it when I see it. I can't fathom throwing away that much money because they're literally going to be throwing it away. I will be so relieved to see them go. All that being said, I think the second that those are out of there, that lagoon is going to be the biggest breath of fresh air. Beautiful the way it was meant to be originally. So goodbye, taco barges.
You know what? Part of me is like I like some of the stuff that it offers, and when we were watching, we talked about the news or WDWNT 40th anniversary offerings, and the Imagineers talking about the shows, and one of the things they were talking about in relation to Don Dorsey was a rule of thumb, like if you can put your thumb up and you can't see the thing behind your thumb, it's too far away or it's not big enough for everybody to see. Those barges are definitely big enough for everybody to see, and we sat out there on the 40th and we watched the show, and I think the show is well put together. I think that there's questionable whether like the IPs should be back and forth between the English version and the native version. I think it's a good thing, but then it's also not something you can sing along to. So I think that people are in general happy to see this go away. But where I really can connect, Alicia, is, and I don't know if you're on the same page as this, is when the Sorcerer's Hat at Hollywood Studios finally went away. That to me is the connection that I make on this one.
Wait, so are you saying that you didn't like the Sorcerer's Hat?
No, I did not like the Sorcerer's Hat. I liked it in theory,
Oh.
but I didn't want it in front of the theater
Well, then-
because again, sight
Clutter.
lines. Yeah.
Well, then we're not friends right now. I loved
Wow.
the hats.
Wow.
The hat
Wow.
being taken away was like a monumental moment in my life.
Wow.
But as far as
Wow.
the barges go, take them. I've been very outspoken about how much I hate these barges. I'm ready for them to go. I do not care how much money it wasted. They shouldn't have done it to begin with. This is their own fault, and now they can suffer.
Wow,
Dang.
that is
Dang.
spit and fire. One of the things that about that hat, again, same thing as Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I think if it's in the wrong place, I like it. I just wish it wasn't where it was. I think the Sorcerer's Hat was cool. I just hated it blocking that way because what I used to remember was coming into the park and just seeing that what they call the weenie at the end, which is the your point of reference, and that was always the Chinese theater. And when you walked in, you couldn't see that anymore. So it took that old Hollywood style, like the Hollywood that never was, kind of a vibe, and turned it back into something that I felt like didn't match what the original vision was. So I get why you might have liked it. There's probably a lot of things that people are like, you like them because they've always been there, and then when they go away, then you're sad. I don't think anybody's going to be sad about this, but I think as soon as we said the word barges, Coach got everything back together, and now he's ready to talk about how much he's going to miss the barges when they go away.
Yeah, this was such a fail on so many levels. It's encouraging to me that they're listening to people, but this is kind of like I said before, there's not a single, at least I don't think, maybe other than the manufacturer that built the barges and sold it to Disney. I think they can make a lot of money. Somebody said on another show if they just like allowed you guests to like rent sledgehammers and bash them in. But I think it's really, I mean, this was just, it looked nothing like the fountains. I don't know what was said before. I got my internet randomly dropped for no reason. It was a fail, right? And at least it seems to me, hopefully this is an indication that Josh D'Amaro is actually in charge now. And he's getting a little bit of juice. So all those Disney surveys that everyone fills out and no one listens to, apparently, maybe they are. And that, to me, signals changes, right? I know Tom had said that it gave him some encouragement, and I'm choosing to look at the positive of this. I just hope they don't have some sort of reveal where they're like, see, look what we did. We took stuff away and it's better. I don't want them to think taking stuff away is better. I just want them to think better is better. So hopefully.
Yeah, then they're going to start taking away like whole pavilions. They're going to be like, you hated Italy, right? Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
exactly. As long as if they replace Italy with something else, I don't know. It's the only place where like Italian food isn't good, apparently, is in the World Showcase, which is weird. So, but
Take that back.
I think there's some-
Napoli is amazing.
Napoli is the only good
fantastic.
thing. Napoli is amazing. We eat there every time. But other than that, the food booths are
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
laughably bad. So
Okay.
borderline get food poisoning from type bad. So I'll let
Yeah.
you know.
Shannon, what's your beef with Via Napoli?
No, I love Via Napoli.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure. And Patrick was in chat saying that he feels like that Alicia would also be the kind of person that wants to put the wand back on the top of Spaceship Earth. So
Bring them on back. Hashtag
No.
bring it back.
Did you really like the wand?
I did. I love all of those dumb little things. They make me happy. I love seeing it on the monorail from far away. It's adorable.
Okay, well, if you say so. Wow. All right, let's move on to the Ducktales, because we talked about this a little bit coming in, that the World Showcase adventure that they had for Kim Possible was then replaced with the one for Perry's World Showcase Adventure, Agent P, and then they said at D23 2019, hey, guess what? We're going to bring this back and it's going to be awesome. We're going to bring it back as Ducktales, and so they announced it a while ago, the Ducktales World Showcase Adventure, and then they said, okay, this is something that's not gonna. They just stopped talking about it, and then Coach was sad because he loves Donald Duck, and then they came back a little while ago and said, hey, before the end of the year, we're gonna see this. I'm excited to share this with you soon. Maybe it didn't say end of the year, but our anticipation was it would be before the end of the year. And so that's why I thought this would have been a great thing to release for Epcot's 40th. Hey, here's an attraction you weren't really ready for to be here, and here it is. And they didn't even talk about it. I wish that, while they were making all their speeches about how great Epcot was in the future and what's coming, that they had talked about this. So I'm going to go right back to Duck Guy on this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, anything that involves Donald Duck, I'm a fan of. But this was an update that we've heard about for a while, it's been rumored for a while, and it's good. This is good stuff. This means they're moving forward. I'm curious as to wonder why it took so long, and why they haven't announced it. It's weird to me that they don't use the platforms where they're already making announcements to make announcements. It's very weird to me. Even if you say it's coming and you're hyping it up, maybe you don't want to give an actual hard date because you're worried about an actual opening, but build anticipation to something, right? That was always the part of the Disney vacation that was exciting for me when I first got into this. Is just like you got your magic bands, you got this notification. There was this build up to your Disney vacation where you're looking forward to going to Disney, right? You were looking forward to the trip, and a lot of times it got you through difficult times where you're like, hey, I just got to get through these couple of weeks. And you had this kind of countdown chart. I know we do that. How many more days till Disney? How many more, we tell the kids how many more sleeps before you wake up and we're going to be at Mickey's house. Like that to me is part of it.
Oh.
And this is a missed opportunity to say, hey, you can build a little bit of anticipation for this. If you just say, hey, it is coming. We're excited about it. It's coming in. And you know how they work with their seasons, summer of whatever. Well, summer of whatever can be 4 months. So hype it up, plan it up. But it's exciting because this to me is something that we've talked about for a while and we're finally going to get it. So
Very cool. Alicia, I don't think it's going to be there in 4 days when you're there, though.
No, but I mean, like going back to my love of scavenger hunts, like I love this. I'm so ready for this. And I watched all of the DuckTales reboot. Like I loved that show. I thought it was adorable. So whenever this comes, I like you guys have talked about, like I wish it was announced better. I wish this has been handled better. But at the end of the day, I'm still excited for it. And I think it'll be a great addition to Epcot specifically for the kids.
Very cool. And Shannon, any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, the more people eaters, the merrier. Let's get more activities that'll absorb more people and redistribute everyone.
Okay. All right. Very cool. So let's talk about these avatar dolls. So the make your own avatar. When this first opened in, apparently this is back, but when this first opened, I was looking at it and going, this looks okay. I mean, to me, and maybe I'm missing something here. Somebody educate me, because when the whole idea was they would scan you and they would make an avatar that looked just like you. And when I would see everybody's avatar, I was like, that doesn't really look like you. I don't know what they were doing. And it's
yeah,
like they're expensive. They're like $75 each. It's a process. It takes like 45 minutes to do.
yeah,
I get that they were looking for some outside the box things to do in Pandora when they opened it up, and they wanted to do some. They had the shoulder banshees, and those were cool. And you go to the rookery, and you could adopt a banshee, and that was neat. I feel like they backed off on a lot of that stuff, and when they closed them down, I thought it was just because nobody liked them, and now they've reopened them again. So I'm gonna go to Alicia again on this one. I mean, did you ever see anybody do this? Did you ever want to do this? Do you have any idea why it went away or why it's back?
Well, so it's interesting. I don't know necessarily how they do it. I've never done anything with this before. I was actually pretty unfamiliar with this up until kind of when we started talking about this again. I've been 3D scanned before, and I would be interested to see the technology that they do. And also, there's a lot of cleanup involved with anything involving like a scan of yourself. Um, so I think that that's interesting, and maybe that's why it went away, and maybe they got a better handle on it now. Or maybe, kind of like to Shannon's point, maybe they needed people eaters. Maybe they're not getting enough traffic to Pandora, which I would think would be crazy. I don't know. It's interesting. It's weird. I wouldn't do it.
Uh, Sh- Shannon, how many of you made? Three, four, one for each day of the week?
No, but you know what I did make that this reminds me of? Back in the day in Disney Quest, there was a make your own like freak Sid toy. And I did that one time. And
Oh,
you use the computer and you go and you search around Sid's room and you just pick random weird pieces of toys and put them together. And then you would actually get the physical toy. I know that's irrelevant to Avatar dolls, but I miss Disney Quest.
You're like, you're like, hey, whatever you just said, I miss Disney Quest. That's my answer to that. That's fair. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Figment's getting a movie. That's exciting, right? Yeah. I mean, again, you've got the meet and greets coming, and we've got all kinds of cool merchandise for the 40th from Figment, and now Figment's getting a movie produced by Seth Rogen and being written by the guys who wrote Detective Pikachu. Is that a red flag? I don't know. But I know, Coach, you were hoping for a lot more Figment, and it looks like your Figment dreams are coming true.
Well, we got to all watch this. It's important we watch this because they're gonna. I think if there's popularity with this movie, the ride will get rethemed. That is not
mm-hmm,
rethemed, but re-updated. I think there's that.
mm-hmm,
This is the test, right? We've all talked about how we want Figment the ride to be this great upgraded thing and be a throwback, new throwback, however you want to call it. Here's your opportunity. Everybody who's a fan of Figment needs to watch this, good, bad, or indifferent. Yeah, I think it signals again more understanding of what the hardcore Disney fan kind of wants, right? The nostalgia of that. Every time they release anything Figment, it sells a ton. So this is an opportunity. Let's see if we can have proof of concept, right? We talked about our predictions, and one of my predictions was I thought they were going to announce some Figment stuff, mainly the ride. I was wrong, but this may lead to that. So ultimately, we may get that prediction correct. But it's an opportunity, right? It's something it sounds like they're listening to us. And again, if this is proof that Josh Tomorrow has more influence over all of this, I think that's maybe a good thing. I think this is what we thought we were going to get when Josh Tomorrow kind of was announced and, was flashing his pearly whites and, showing his beautiful eyes that everybody falls in love with. I think we were hoping to see a lot of this. It's taken a while, but maybe this is an indication that he's getting more input as a lifelong Disney fan. Let's hope. Let's hope.
Okay. Well, Alicia, Figment movie. Now,
yeah.
before I throw it to you though, I said, is it a bad thing or a good thing that Detective Pikachu writers are involved? And in the chat was like, Detective Pikachu was great. I enjoyed that movie. I just was asking the question. So I have talked. My son is a huge Pokemon fan and has been his entire life. And he was like, eh. So I mean, I think everybody gets their own opinion on it, but I was just literally asking the question. So what do you what do you think?
So starting with kind of the production side of it, myself and five other adults just like recently, as of like last weekend, rewatched Detective Pikachu, and all of us were just like, this movie is so underrated because it's actually really good and it's really cute. My concern is Seth Rogen. Just I don't know how he fits into this puzzle because Seth Rogen is very much like kind of an adult creator, right? Like, so how does he fit in with, people behind Detective Pikachu? How does he fit in with Figment and kind of the Disney family theme? Please don't make Figment edgy, I guess is what I'm asking. My other concern is, how do they market this movie so that not only hardcore Disney fans go and see it? Because obviously we're gonna bring, our friends, our family. We're gonna talk up this movie and be like, "It's Figment, we have to go see it." But is the random average day, Joe gonna want to go see this Purple Dragon movie? He's probably gonna be really confused as to who he is. So that's my concerns there. But like Brian, I want this to do well. I want them to update the ride, and those are my hopes.
Yeah, Coach, you gonna be okay there, buddy?
Yeah, sorry. Wrong pipe.
Okay. All right. And Shannon, any thoughts before we move on to this one?
Yeah, I think the bar is going to be set way too high, and I can't imagine this turning out well. Just looking at recent Disney movies that they're trying to remake, what has been great recently? I don't think people are raving about Pinocchio or anything else they've made. And I think part of what people love about Figment is the ties to nostalgia and memories of their childhood or how they remember, seeing Figment on rides. So creating a new story, I think, is going to be really challenging and likely to be disappointing, but to be determined.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how it can be everything we want it to be, right? I mean, we want the Dreamfinder in it, but is that going to be weird? And what's the premise? And is there enough, Figment and Billy Barty was the original voice, and he's passed away. Who are they going to have to voice it? And Chris Pratt. I mean, he seems to be the obvious choice for everything, right? No, okay.
Please no. Please no.
So too much Chris Pratt. Got it. So anyway, I have high hopes, but not, Shannon, to your point, maybe not high expectations. I want it to be a great movie and a tribute to this character that we've loved forever and ever. And I do think he deserves a better attraction as much as he is Epcot. They use him for representing Epcot on all the 40th. Almost all of the merchandise was Figment. He's an original character. That's something that they need to take good care of. So I hope that it's great. And the next question is, will it be on Disney Plus or in the theater? I don't think I've seen that yet. I assume Disney Plus, because that's where the audience is, that's where the hardcore fans are going to be, is on Disney Plus anyway. So we'll see how it turns out. Let's move on to tours. There's been a lot of tours started up again, including the Behind the Scenes tour at the Land. And then they've also added stuff like the tours back to California for the first time since COVID. There are now going to be tours there. So that's exciting that they're going to do that. This is the, kind of the Walt's footsteps sort of a tour. And then there's going to be the holiday tour coming up. Shannon, why was this the thing that took them so long to bring these tours back? Because we've been I feel like in full swing for a while, and I feel like this is an opportunity for them to just make money. They like to make money, don't they?
Of course, and I don't know the reason as to why it took so long, but I was really fearful that Behind the Scenes was something that was never going to come back. And I had so many opportunities to do this tour pre-COVID, so I'm beyond thankful that that tour is coming back and that now I know to get my butt down there and finally take that tour, because you never know when it's going to be gone.
Okay. The one thing that I looked at, and Alicia, I don't know if this bothers you, but is that the one tour for Disney World, for Disneyland, where you can go and see Walt's apartment, you get to sit out on the patio and have snacks.
Does while that bother you?
It does.
Wait, that sounds great.
Okay.
Bothers me.
Yeah, I'm with Shannon.
Why does
Very bougie.
The closer that I get to touch anything of Walt's is like gold, right? Like you're like the door behind is like where God was, essentially, in my world. Like, I don't know, the closer I can get, I would be happy. In general though, I'm super happy that the tours are back. I've done 3, and I think I've reviewed all 3 that I've done on the site. But I think those are a really great way to connect to the history, to getting to know the true intentions behind the Imagineers. Every cast member that you have is super knowledgeable. They're super caring. They're kind. And you learn so much. And it's just, if you're a Disney Parks fan, I cannot recommend them more.
Well, and I guess my point is that I just feel like anything that Walt touched was holy, and I don't want people to be dropping Mickey
but
bars
he didn't want that.
All over the place. Yeah, okay, fair. But
I
again,
want
it's
people
just
to go in the apartment, but I think outside is kind of fine. That's how I view it, at least.
Yeah. Well, if they really want to impress these folks, they should take them to Club 33 to have their ice cream sandwiches and and cocoa or whatever they're going to be giving them. So that would be the way to go.
Money.
Yeah. So, Coach, the thoughts? Behind the Scenes, by the way, in my opinion, is one of the best deals that Disney has as far as tours go. Because it's the last time I did it was just before COVID. It was $25 a person, $30 a person, and you go and you get this long tour, and it's not too long because you're already paying for a park day. You don't want to lose all of your day, but at least you get to go on something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, something that you could do for the first time and it be unique. I mean, to me, that's very special to do. But Coach, I don't know how you feel about this one or the ones in Disneyland.
I think Jason and Dawn said in chat they went on it. It was awesome. This is a tour I really want to do, and I'm going to do it in my new shirt from the Carousel of Products, Living with the Land, Rob, because it's a great new shirt that's available at carouselofproducts.com. There you go. It's I think a really good tour. Everyone I've heard that's ever gone on it is somebody who's super has nothing but great things to say. And again, what is it all about, right? It's about the education. I think it connects a little bit to the nostalgia to it. It's very impressive what they do, and so having that opportunity to do something different in Disney that is someone that goes a lot, we're fortunate to do that. It's nice to have something different to do, right? You always point to when your vacation ends, you always look at what you accomplished, what you got done, what was your favorite part of the trip, what did you do that was different. And for us, we haven't done it yet, and it's something we're looking forward to do actually next time we go down there. And like I said, we did the Pirates thing. We had never done that before. It was amazing. Yeah, it's been around for 10 years or whatever it is, but it was new to us. So I think it's something that people should take advantage of. There's not a lot of things in Disney World that are free / really affordable, and this is definitely the Living with the Land. The Seeds Behind the Seeds tour is really one of those. But I would be interested in the Disneyland one too. I mean, you get to see the originator, the great one. So, I mean, who would not want to go on that tour? I mean, it's if you have that opportunity to do it, do it. I mean, because you're going to not do it and then be like, oh, you didn't go? You know, it's like, well, you don't want to live with that kind of regret. Instead, you bought, 3 balloons on Main Street. Like, come on. So, better bang for your buck with a tour. So,
Well, Coach, since you already pimped it out, let's talk about that shirt. So we have
there
two
you go.
shirts that we dropped for Epcot. One is the Tomorrow's Harvest, which is a kind of an homage to the land, and then the other one is a reprint of one that was super popular for us, which is that Horizons. If you think this is good, you should have seen Horizons shirt. Especially now that Star-Lord's talking about Horizons and Veggie Fruit when he's doing his thing in Cosmic Rewind. It's really another one of those things that you could get on carouselproducts.com and flex when you go into the parks. That the Horizon shirt was one that really sold out quickly, so much so that people were calling me, asking me when can we get these. Like, I want them for my son who loves Epcot, or my daughter who just did a college program there, or people really miss Horizons. And again, back to the top of the show when we talked about Epcot 40, they give props to these attractions. But we wanted to go a little deeper and be able to do that, and we'll continue to do more fan service for Epcot because we are huge Epcot fans. So check it out, carouselproducts.com. We make the shirts very affordable and quality, the same kind of stuff we would want, and so we wear them and we love them and we want to make more. So let's move from something sweet to something not so sweet. Is that Magic Kingdom fight that happened where the folks waited outside of PhilharMagic for somebody to come out so that they could be less than Disney magical with them. But now we're seeing that it's one of the people, the guys from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, was actually associated with this, and it's the weirdest story because apparently he gave a different name when the police questioned him, and then our folks called him, and he answered with his actor name. So you can see him here, and they had this little brawl in the Magic Kingdom, which makes me sad on so many levels because this was for a little girl's 6th birthday party that they were all there, and they all got trespassed, and now she can't go. I mean, that's heartbreaking, this whole situation, not only for their family but for the families around that had to watch this in a place. And we've talked about this a million times about fights, and this is just new information we have about this one. This isn't a new fight. This is new information we have about this one, that this guy who is part of Disney actually came involved with it, and it was his family that was involved with the fight. But for me, the sadness is that this is a place where we all feel safe and we want to feel magic, and we don't want to see this kind of stuff happen from the outside world. So Shannon, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I have thoughts. Here's my advice to the world. Do not engage with people at these parks who are looking to start a fight. When I was at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party 3 or so weeks ago, there was a family that walked up behind me, and this is not an exaggeration. They walked up behind me about 1 minute before the Headless Horseman came down. I had been standing there for about 30 minutes at least, so I could see. And their behavior was so bizarre to me that I almost felt like it was a tactic. They were angrily talking about how they had a child who couldn't see and how stingy people were with their space, and how dare these people who were closer to the parade be standing, and someone needs to go up there and tell them to sit down. Like it ruined my parade experience, because it was the whole parade, and it took everything in me to not turn around and say, you just look at your watch and get here a little earlier, and then you get your spot in line. Like, this is not a difficult concept. It's first come, first serve. So the point, I mean, it really, it bothered me so much. And I all I wanted to do was say something, but nothing I would have said would have ended in a happy resolve. So I think this happens often. I have seen fights even from going years now, it's just that it's not been posted on social media. So just do your part to make it, to keep it the magical place that it is. People will be people, ignore them, and try to enjoy it as best you can.
Yeah. Coach, I think you pretty much, we've talked about fights so much, I feel like you've got a standard line for this.
Yeah, keep your hands up.
Yeah.
Dodge and weave. No, I think for people, this is a more and more pressure, right, to have a better experience. And I think um, people don't necessarily know what Disney is, and I think that our job as a channel, and it's something I think we do a very good job of, and we continue to do, is to educate people on the process involved, right? The stresses involved, the planning. You got to plan your dining reservations months in advance. Know that you're going to eat on a random Tuesday at 9:30. 4 months and longer. So I think it's really comes down to um, we always say this all the time, is that, like, what's the best case scenario, right? In Shannon's case, what was the best case scenario for her? And Shannon's really nice, but Shannon's also tough. So if she turn around and boat up, she's not going to back down, right? So you have to know yourself and understand, like, what is ultimately the best case scenario, right? The best case scenario is not good. So and we run into that sometimes, and I think sometimes when we've had these situations happen, having small children and things like that, a lot of times it's people, you can sort of shame them into being nice if they're they feign that they didn't know that they cut in front of you, whatever. And it's just like, if you're kill them with kindness, a lot of times they will end up having to sort of relent, and these poor cast members have to deal with all these things. And it's amazing to me that is it more prevalent? Yes. And people will say, well, it's just because there's social media now. No, it's more prevalent because there's more pressure, right? If it was less expensive to go on a Disney vacation, if people weren't spending, a ton of money to go once every 5 years, there's all this pressure. It's like, because people want to report out, like, how was your Disney vacation? What happened? What was great about it? What wasn't? And there's this pressure to have a great time. And I just think, be a part of what Disney is, right? Be a part of that magic. Like Shannon said, be the person that is the bigger person. You're setting an example for everybody around you, and people will ultimately follow that example. There's always going to be bad people in the world, but again, what's your best case scenario? And always keep your hands up and dodge and weave.
Yep. Good call. Let's move on to the next one. New York Comic Con was this weekend, and they talked about some Marvel stuff, which, it's interesting. Disney has to make these like decisions of, what are we going to talk about at San Diego Comic Con? What are we going to talk about at D23? And what are we going to talk about at our events? And they've got to like kind of slow release all this information. And so for this one, for the New York Comic Con, one of the things they talked about that, the e-ticket attraction that's coming to Avengers Campus with the King Thanos character. It doesn't look like they gave us much information about it, other than the fact they're excited to build it. So I was hoping, when I saw that come across our website, that there was more to it than that. I'm still very excited about this attraction, and I was excited when they told us about it at D23. So they talked about some of the heroes. I can't tell from this article, Alicia, they talked about Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing were things that were talked about for this, but it doesn't make it sound like they're necessarily going to happen in this. But again, I'm all about this whole thing where it's going to be not just a couple characters, but like all the characters.
Yeah, so I feel like, and you would remember because you were actually at D23, but didn't they say that this was going to be like like a multiverse attraction, right? Like
Yeah.
this is not the Thanos that we saw at the end of Avengers Endgame and whatever. You know, this is
Right.
its own story, its own multiverse, which gives them the opportunity to play with all these different characters. I do think that it's upsetting that they didn't feed us a little bit more information. You know, with D23, you know, you teased it, you talked about it a little bit, you wait a little bit because now the hype is there, and then you go to Comic Con, and then you're like, okay, now we'll talk about it a little more. They didn't do that. Maybe they're still working out the details. You know, we don't know when construction for this is really going to start. So they might be trying to figure things out themselves. Who knows? I just hope that maybe at the next major event they start to release a little bit more.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm really excited about this one because it feels very tangible. It looks like they have artwork for it. They've got a storyline
Yes.
for it. Plus, the Guardians Tower, the Guardians of the Galaxy mission breakout happened so quickly when it happened that I feel like there's an opportunity with Marvel back behind this to maybe push this project a little bit faster, especially with as big as the Marvel Universe is. The other thing that's happening at this Comic Con is that they had a Wonders of Xandar booth, so that they have the characters and the weird hair and the Wonders of Xandar and all these displays that are basically a big ad for the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And again, cool, good on them that they were able to like go, hey, let's continue to merchandise the one thing that we've actually put out there that's ready this year, because you can't talk about Tron yet. So but the other thing on this attraction that I thought was interesting is they talk about these Zerg nuts. Am I saying that correctly? That I was just like, that's apparently the thing that Drax is eating in the attraction because he's become so hungry because there's no cake toast. But they're gonna apparently sell these things,
That's so gross.
yeah.
It looks like dog food.
It
Well, I
does.
but you tell me that it's something that it's from Guardians of the Galaxy, and I should have some. I may buy a bag. They had a vending machine for them apparently, so this is probably some special treat from Xandar. I don't know. It could be exciting. But in general, this is also when they talked about the Cosmic Rewind, the Christmas song. So they talked about that, and they talked about the other attraction that's coming. So they did have some things to talk about, and then they basically made some comic book announcements. But I don't think they made any new announcements in the way of TV shows or movies, because they basically have said everything that they can say. I think at this point, I think they're already giving us spoilers into like 2030 at this point. So I think that they probably need to calm down a little bit, figure out what they're actually going to do, and move on from that. We're running pretty late, so I did want to talk about one other thing here. We're going to talk about Munchlings, because apparently Patrick Hackett, who again is on chat, love you, brother, going to see him next week on ParksCenter, but apparently he's all about some Munchlings. I looked at Munchlings, and finally, for the person who buys everything that Disney puts out, I went, I could pass on this. Basically they're characters that smell like foods and look like foods. So, when you take Winnie the Pooh's face and you put a swirl on it, I don't know. I mean, there's cinnamon buns and, strawberry, like the mini smells like strawberry, and you have Bambi in here for some strange reason. Am I wrong on these? Like, I mean,
No,
Coach,
you're not wrong.
Coach, are your kids? I'll go to you first, and Alicia. Are your kids? Have they seen these? Do they want these? Because I was in the Magic Kingdom the day they came out, and it was like pandemonium.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that's better on paper than in practice. Hey, let's have this great idea. People love Disney food. People love plush. Let's do Disney food plush. But not only do Disney food plush, let's make it smell like the food, except it doesn't smell like the food. I mean, it's pretty telling, Rob. You had a breakthrough where you didn't purchase new Disney merchandise. I mean, that statement alone, that we don't need another 2 minutes and 5 seconds. You've made the statement. It got
Yeah.
Rob Whiteside not interested in buying plush.
But look at this.
if
But
that
look at
doesn't
this.
I mean, come on.
What the heck?
That's a pretty good testament that they.
I mean,
really dropped the
Alicia,
ball.
you were talking about earlier. This is hashtag
No,
not
I'm
my
not gonna
poo.
purchase
This
it.
is not my poo.
Not my poo.
Yeah.
I mean, they already started with this a little bit. They made a Disney food wishable pack. And I don't know if that did well or not. I know that I wasn't interested in it, and this is coming from someone who was like bought in every wishable set possible.
They
Except that
sold
one.
them at Five Below.
See, there you go. Like they didn't do well then. So then they come out with this. So I don't know where the market was. Like what research person was saying like these will do well. They bought the wishables. They want, Baymax as a s'more. We don't want Baymax as a s'more. Sorry, Disney. This is weird. I'm not into it. I don't want to eat my favorite Disney pals. I just want to like snuggle with them, not smell
Well,
them.
and there's no consistency because you have the large ones that are $34.99, and then you have the mystery boxes which are they're $16.99, and the wishables started at $9.99, then they went to $12.99, then they went to $14.99. I think wishables are done. That's my guess. I said that to Tom on the last Park
Hope
Center.
not.
Is that I think that this is supposed to replace them. Tsum Tsums were sunset. They brought out wishables. Wishables were a thing. I think they sunset that. This is the thing. Now he was saying, well, Tsum Tsums are still available in Japan. That's great because that's their thing. But I don't know that wishables will still happen. I agree with you, Alicia. Like, here's the only good thing about wishables being gone is I won't feel compelled to buy them. But I felt compelled to buy all of them. And so part of me is like, whew. But the other part of me is just like this. I'm gonna miss them. There was still some other
Yeah.
sets that I expected them to have that they didn't have. But when I look at this, I'm like, I'm okay passing on it. Patrick is in all caps in chat. I want Baymax as a s'more. But again, the mystery ones, I saw people walking around with the boxes of mystery ones and open them up and get excited about it. They're still using that plan, just like the wishables. But to your point earlier, or maybe something we talked about pre-show, they're in a box now. You
Yeah.
can't squeeze the box. You have to just, I don't know,
Yeah.
you shake the box, you smell the box,
But
maybe you
there's
smell it and it smells like the one you want. I don't know. Like
There is something so magical to sitting on the floor of a Disney shop and squeezing the ever-loving crap out of those bags until you
No.
find the shape that you need. Like my parents and I have invested hours of our life being like,
No.
this is a Remy. Like,
I hate seeing those crinkled packages on the shelf. And I'm
oh,
like, 50 people crinkled this bag. I don't want to touch it.
sorry, Shannon. I am
That's
one. I am one.
but you had to go
You can
through
usually
and
just
like,
ask a cast member
Yes.
too. A lot
but
of
if you
times
were
they'll
going,
just be like, there's always that one cast member that's like, she's got the magic, and you go, I want that one, and she just goes, here you go. So if you feel
Yes.
out of place,
I've been on both sides
of
of that where the cast member is good or is not good. But like for this one,
Okay.
these are all shaped the same, and you're like, well, how would you tell the difference between the
Yeah.
color? And with this one, the eyes. So this one has open eyes. You can see it had two open eyes. This one had two. Like this was a tough one. So yeah,
God.
I mean, come on, these things are freaking adorable, and they look like miniature versions of the thing that you already love, not the thing that you already love sandwiched in between. Graham crackers, right? It's like the actual thing. So, I mean,
You lost me. You lost me on the graham cracker.
yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, for me, I think that the Munchlings, I'm glad that everybody else is excited about them. I'm glad that Patrick has a new addiction, and I hope that when we see him, he has like a whole background full of all of them. But for me, I'm just like, it's too tough for me to try to.
Funko Pops.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's do this one last topic because I want to pick on somebody, and I want to pick on Shannon.
Oh,
So
no.
they took away the Future World sign as you're exiting the Living Seas, and it says exiting the Future World, and they took that away this just before Epcot's birthday. They basically took out the last semblance of Future World. I want to know, do you already know off the top of your head the 3 new divisions of Future World?
Well, I remember that the sign I believe they replaced here said World Nature. And I said, well, I guess dirt is nature. There is celebration. It could be another C, connections, creations.
No.
I don't know.
Anybody else? Without looking it up?
Imagination?
No. Imagination is part of World Nature. Go figure.
Oh. Oh, I should know this.
See, that's what I think is so funny is that they manufactured these in 2019 and like pulled them on us and said, "Hey, this is what this is now. You have World Showcase, so why not make them all World Nature, World Celebration? World Celebration is up the middle. World Discovery is the one on the other
That's what
side."
it is.
It
So,
makes
yeah.
so much sense.
So World Discovery. Are you saying that sarcastically or?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just making sure. Patrick says World Wide Web. I don't know. So it's one of those things. So it's like I've always prided myself on knowing the lands and the attractions and all those things, and this one still throws me because it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. World Nature, yes, the land, and maybe you throw in the seas, but imagination doesn't seem to make sense there. But World Nature will include Moana, but then World Celebration will be the festival center and the Walt statue and the shop, and then over on the other side is World Discovery. So they're already using that verbiage, but it's just funny to me that I still think they haven't gotten the point across yet, because people, as diehard as all of us are on this panel, we're still having problems with trying to figure out what they mean by World Discovery. And I don't know. World Discovery doesn't seem to fit for Test Track, but okay.
No.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the panel tonight. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being in chat. Thanks for watching at home. We love hanging out with you on Sunday nights. We really do. I want to give a shout out to our wigs. We love our wigs. The wigs are the WDWNT Interglobe Society. It is our Patreon program, so if you're not a member, we would love to have you as part of the family. Just reach out to us on patreon.com/WDWNT, and there's several ways for you to join. Our Patreons get a lot of cool stuff, like a post show from this show. So we'll have a quick post show here. You also get a post show from News Tonight and several other things. So you get a discount on our Carousel of Products merchandise. We would love to have you be a part of that family. Check it out now. And again, with our lineup, we have Disney Entertainment News Today comes out on this channel on Tuesdays. Deep in the Plus Wednesday night, we're going to do Werewolf by Night. I'm very excited about that. So we're going to talk about that one, and then Thursday night is going to be another News Tonight. So that's our lineup, and we hope you guys will join us for the programming. We again, thank you guys on the panel for being here, and we will see you guys real soon. If you're a Wigs member, we'll see you in just a few. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bum, 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 bum.